Rob Huff leads them around, getting ready to start the first international race in Morocco in 50 years. The red lights are on, but I expected Eduardo Freitas to throw the switch very early. Huff in the Chevrolet, away they go now. Let's see how much yellow and red gets by him. Nicola Larini, Alain Menu on the move quickly as well. Already, Ivan Muller's into the back of Rob Huff. Now, Huff can only defend one side or the other, John, not both.
He's got to be really careful here, and he's managed the impossible, which was to hold these 5 of them back, which is fantastic by him. Alain Menu made really good ground there. He's usually very unlucky. Who's that?
Rydell's weekend going worse. We're on board with Prio, and somebody was getting turned around in front of him, and I think it was Engstler being turned around by Mehdi Bendani. Yeah. So Rydell's race is over. Race weekend probably is over, because that car will not get back to the pits, and I think we may see a safety car. 11 laps is the duration. We could get another couple of laps if the safety car has to come out, but as you see, there are cranes around the track. That was Zanardi flying straight down there. He now has to give back positions. That's Van Lagen as
He's
well.
He's going to do the same.
Yes.
But Rob's done a good job here to hold back these Seats, because I would have put money on them with the torque and the power they have getting past. But to lead the first lap, I'll tell you what he's going to do. He'll be really pleased with himself, because when he settles in the race, he'll get a good rhythm. That is a rooted Seat.
Absolutely.
What on earth hit that? It looks as though it's fallen off the roof of the house.
Well, I want to know what missed it, because it absolutely does look like it's been completely destroyed. So Seat 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place Nicola Larini ahead of Alain Menu. So this is all about Chevrolet versus Seat, and when are the Seats going to be able to unleash the speed that they had in testing and in free practice?
We have a safety car out. Safety car.
Okay, so we are seeing the safety car. You'll get the graphic up on screen in a minute.
Rob will be spitting about that, because unfortunately what that means now is he's got it all to do again.
Yes, and the brake temperatures and the engine temperatures now will continue to rise. They won't be able to cool down much, and immediately see Tarquini and Muller back off it and slow right down.
I mean, Menu's done a good job to get up from 10th to 7th there, but poor old Ricky Rydell, it looks as though he's been hit by a bulldozer.
And he wasn't the only one. Let's have a look again at the start. Well, Huff did a really superb job to get away there. And I think down at the second, at corner 4 and 5, I think we probably did lose.
See if we can see who hits Ricard. Ricard is the car, the Seat on the far right. We'll just watch and see if we can. Nah, that is rooted.
Yeah, there's not much left there.
That'll be a cheap Seat to buy right now.
So who else have we lost? Let's have a look on our other timing screen page. Okay, we've still got 24 cars running.
So he rode up the back of, I think that was that Zanardi?
That's why, okay, Zanardi got delayed there, yes. Well, no, Zanardi hit him from behind.
It was Jörg ran up the back of.
No, that's Menu's. No, yes, he did. Yes, you're right. He ran into.
He ran over the back of
Now,
Jörg.
this is Engstler. It is Bendani as well. I thought Engstler was getting turned around, but the road just came left enough for him to hang on.
The local boy's doing a good job there.
I tell you what, he's got his sleeves rolled up in proper touring car driver style as well.
He's not scared of getting in there.
No, mind your P's and Q's. So Huff, Tarquini, Ivan Muller, Jordi Genet, Thiago Montero, Nicola Larini, Alain Menu, the top 7. Jörg Muller, best BMW in 8th. Bendani, top independent in 9th in that Seat now.
But just watch what happens here again. Rob gets a great start, holds them all back, and they're tripping over each other. To be fair, that turn 2 is very narrow, very tight, and it just, I mean, look, you're trying to get 3 abreast in there. It just doesn't work.
Menu got into the side of Larini as well, yes.
I think that was the problem. Menu was tagging Larini, and to avoid tapping the back of him, he stood on the brakes slightly. Poor old Rick and Jörg Muller had nowhere to go, so that's an unhappy looking Swede there.
Do you know, that's the last time he'll need that race suit, because I don't see any way that car, it won't get back, and certainly in 10 minutes they're not going to put a corner on it, so it's
going to be a struggle to get it back, but that's our championship joint leader there, yes. And that's not a good start.
Zanardi with the hazards on, and I think his car may have suffered quite a lot of damage. Look, Engstler's going by him. I think he's having to wave people by. Here's our race leader, Rob Huff, with a new helmet livery on his Stilo helmet this season, matching the livery of the Cruise.
Just watch what happens here again. Jörg gets in front. Yeah, taps the back of Alain, because Alain slows down. and it's just a concertina effect. That's no one's real fault.
No, Ricard had nowhere to
go. Very tight corner. You can't blame anybody for that.
Absolutely not. Again, 25 into 1. I have to say, very full marks indeed to everybody for surviving so much of the field, surviving intact through the first couple of corners, because everybody was very worried that it might be a problem. Safety car will come in this lap. You see the lights are off on the top of the X6. So Huff getting some heat into the tyres, or keeping the heat in the tyres.
And this is still a danger area for Rob, because he can control this, and absolutely right now, but see Ivan, he's latched on the back bumper there like a dog on a postman.
Yeah, he needed to accidentally come right off the throttle there to catch Tarquini out. Well, he's having a run down to the first corner. Don't forget, it is this is a 700 metre straight into the braking area, so 650 metres flat out, 50 metres hard on the brakes. Good restart from Rob Huff. He leads, but the question is, how will his brakes hold up? How will the Seat brakes hold up? And what will happen with Larini and Menu behind? There they are, 6th and 7th.
And that's good. Larini and Menu are right up there, and they can hassle the Seat. So rather than them all moving forward, they're going to have to watch the mirrors as well, because the two Chevys behind are going to be giving him real hassle.
Well, tail end Charlie in the Seat queue is Thiago Montero, pretty much predictably given the way his season has gone, and he's going to be the one who is using up his brakes and his tyres, holding off the Seats, holding off the Chevrolets rather, while the other three concentrate on trying to get on the podium.
And our local boy, but he's right up in among this. He's doing a great job mixing it with the pros.
Yeah, Ivan Muller went testing with him and said he learns fast, he listens a lot, he's very smooth, and clearly, although he's had massive media attention here, he's been running from pillar to post, from interview to TV to radio. He's really got his head around this car, and he's doing a great job. The only factory BMW in front of him is Jörg Muller. Everybody else is stuck behind that independent Seat.
Yeah, see how these guys are wandering around a little where they're coming out the toll. They're just trying to see that's Gabriele Tarquini, I think. No, Ivan Muller pulling it. They're just trying to get some fresh air in right about the front of the car. Do anything they can possibly to keep the brakes cool.
Yep. Now the job obviously for Rob Huff is to get away and stay away, and just race it as hard as it will possibly allow, and whatever the Seats do, whether they decide they need to win the race, Seat, or whether they'll just take points for 2nd, 3rd, 4th or 5th. I have to say at the moment, to avoid any extra penalties, I'm sure they will maybe allow Chevrolet to have a bit of a day in the sun.
I don't think they're allowing them. I think they're going to have to work really hard to win this race. Gabriele Tarquini is very, very capable of doing it, but Rob, he's got a confidence this weekend as well. His teammates should be faster, but I think it looks to me like Alain Menu is faster than Nick Larini, and Nick is holding him back slightly. Now, Alain's looking like he's going to flash the lights and tell him to get over.
I was going to say, for Rob Huff, we're talking to Huffy yesterday, and he said if somebody's on the outside of me at the first corner, he's not coming back in. The very best news for Huff is that it's not Ivan Muller, it's not Janae, Montero or Rydell, it's Tarquini with that suspension hanging over him for having Jörg Muller off, who is directly behind him, which means the pass has to be absolutely crystal clear and clean. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, look at this.
Yes, behind that was Engsler getting walled there by Alex Zanardi, and I think Engsler was coming by, and Zanardi either didn't see him or moved the wrong way to try and let him through.
Yeah, it looked like he just tried to block him, and it didn't work. He was about a millisecond too late.
That was 11th and 12th. Engsler second in the independent category, but don't forget that Bonani may well not do the entire championship, and Engsler has got ground to make up on the independent category leaders, so he really needs maximum points here. And above all else, when we talked to him last night, of course, like all the other independents like Coronel, avoid contact with the other normal factory cars, because they're not battling for the same points that you are.
Well, Tarquini's right on Rob Huff's bootleg.
Yep.
Gabrielle's obviously found a little bit of pace there. Either that or Rob made a slight error. We'll see in the lap time here what happens. See who's fastest. It strikes me as
they were 0.85 apart at the line. That's gone down to 0.63.
Tarquini set the fastest race lap there.
Now Ivan Muller is dropping away a little bit, and Janae is all over the back of him. So has Muller just been canny and racking up the points and keeping the brakes alive in case these two battle at the front and run out later in the race?
I think Ivan is driving a sensible race. He's got to bank points. Gabriele is not exactly his closest competitor. His close competitor's walking back to the pits at this moment in time.
Yeah.
But Ivan is a racer. He'll just sit back quietly, and he'll latch onto the back of Gabby.
Well, we saw Zanardi there being pushed away at the side of the track, and that will be legacy of a couple of incidents so far. Another chicane cutting moment for Jaap van Lagen in the Lada, a little bit further back. But actually, so far, everybody's been pretty well behaved.
Yeah, it's very good. So far, I'm impressed that we haven't had much of a safety car run here. I was expecting a little bit more. Bit of an accident here could cause a road blockage. That's the problem. Looking at Marin Kolak now, he just had to go the wrong way through the tyres, and he's made up a bit of ground there as well. He was ahead of Sergio Hernandez, but he's closed right up on Felix Portero. Looking back down the queue, see clearly the orange and white of Tom Coronel. A little bit further back, this is Kolak's crew. He's running his own car, raced last year in the Seat Supercopa, and coming into the World Touring Car Championship full-time this year. So that's a really strong effort from the Croatian. He's got his own team, he's got his own sponsors, and he's doing his own thing. And I have to say, that's a very brave way to take on a World Touring Car Championship. Yeah, Rob's just settled down a bit there, and he's just sort of kept up one car's length from Gabriele. And unfortunately for Seat, Gabriele seems to have accidentally gone 2/10 quicker than the lead car manages to have done. Christian Poulsen out backwards. Oh, Stefano D'Aste got into the back of him. Huff's just done the fastest lap now, fastest lap of the race, which he's just got his head on that, feeling the car in, make sure the brakes are right, and he's pulled an extra car length out from Gabriele here. And that's really what he needs to do, is just win by just enough. He doesn't have to go off in the distance and sort of win by a country mile. He needs to just quietly beat these blokes. Well, it's the old Jackie Stewart thing, isn't it? Win by as little as humanly possible, and you know, you just want to be safe enough, don't you? Yeah, Ivan's just quietly hauling in the back end of Gabriele Tarquini there, and I thought Alain Menu was being held up by Nick Larini, but to be fair, they're trading identical times at the minute, and I'm sure Alain is on the telephone to his engineer John Waterman saying, I am faster than Nicola, tell him to move over. Yeah, Van Lagen getting a drive-through penalty, I'm assuming, for straight-lining a chicane. I don't think he made up a place, but nonetheless, he's been given a drive-through. Maybe he's straight-lined too many chicanes. He was very keen on attacking them, and has had a few going the wrong side of the tyres moments himself over the weekend. It's quite interesting to see Andy Prio is not making a huge amount of ground on Banini. Yes, and Farfus behind Engstler is wedged up behind him. Absolutely, with Tom Coronel right on his bootlet. Well, Banani in the Seat will race for himself. Engstler, though, if Farfus comes knocking, will let him go through because he's not battling with him, and he's another BMW driver, and that's Christian Poulsen's car after that walling from Stefano D'Aste. D'Aste being over-ambitious, and I'd like to see the stewards having a word with him, but I'm afraid I've not entirely convinced that's going to happen. Muller is dropping away from Tarquini, but he's not under pressure from today. But Muller's now just done the fastest lap of the race. Yes, I think Ivan is quite canny in that respect, where he'll just settle into the race, bring the tyres and the brakes and everything up to a decent temperature, feel the car, feel where he's got brakes, feel where he's stronger, and he'll start to attack Gabriele. I mean, we're only halfway through this race at the moment. Top 7, John, down to Nicola Larini and Alain Menu, are all doing 1 minute 51.012 or 3. So they're all within 4/10 of the outright fastest lap. Behind them, Jörg Muller, 1 minute 51.9. So that's the closest the BMW can get at the moment, and that is the fastest BMW lap time. The others are in the 52s, 51.9s. Nobody can get within, well, nearly a full second of the fastest race lap if you've got a blue and white logo on the front of the car. But I think, you know, what you said earlier, if you're given the Seat team a map and drew out the perfect circuit for them, this has got to be it. But the Chevrolets, you've got to remember, this is only the third race for them. They've worked hard, they weren't competitive, they haven't really scored any points yet in the previous 2 races, but they've now got their act together, the car's better, it's got a flat floor, It's maybe not how they would like it, but guess what? It's leading the race, and they're at this moment in time. They could easy win it. I mean,
Chevrolet have won on every single street circuit in the championship that we've ever been to. Yep. So obviously that is now the killer curse. And if it transpires that they don't win here, I know who's going to get the kicking for it. It won't be the engineers or the drivers.
Alain Menu now, he's figured out we're halfway through the race. I'm not really making a big he's not making inroads into the guys. Nick is not able to catch the back end of the Seats, really. He's in 7th place. If he just sits where he is now, he's on pole position he's on the front row of the grid for race 2, a standing start. And Alain is he's a master at street tracks. So if I were him, I'd be sitting where I am right now.
Well, you either have to make up 6 places and win this one, or try and win the second one, and you're right, that's absolutely the place to be. Andy Priaulx in 10th.
Losing ground to Banini.
Yeah, Banani is just continuing to pull away. You saw a quick shot of Cathy Muller on the pit wall, and Banani now is the man with the fastest race lap. A rookie World Touring Car driver in a car that he's tested once on a track that no one's ever seen. Banani, 150.9, quicker than any other car in the field, and that's an independent.
It's fantastic effort. The guy's a bit of a star, actually.
Well, it also again underlines the potential that the petrol engine Seat has got, which Tom Coronel and Mehdi Banani both underlined in free practice. At one stage there was 7 Seats in the top 9 places, 2 of which were petrol cars in free practice, and that again underlines this car. Seat really don't need the turbo diesel engine. They could still be very competitive with the others with this older version of the car that Tom Coronel and Mehdi Banani are racing.
Yeah, and the BMWs this weekend have just they're not making any ground here. It doesn't look as though I'd have expected to see Andy a little bit faster than he is. The weight penalty
that they are now suffering from here is really having an effect on their car. Essentially, since the first 2 flyaway races, the Ladas and the Chevrolets have had 20 kilos taken off their minimum weight limit, so they're now running minus 20 kilos on the base weight of 1170 that everybody starts with. But the turbo diesel Seats and the BMWs that scored for best points in the opening 2 races have both been hit with a plus 40 weight penalty. Clearly that's had no effect on the Seats, but we can really see the effect it's had on the BMWs, because they are struggling badly, because actually the factory BMWs are heavier than the independent BMWs, and that's just been enough to tip the balance that way as well.
For sure. But just as we were talking there, Rob has just pulled out a bit of a gap, and you can see that he's got 3, 4, 5 car lengths on Gabrielli. He's also now set fastest lap of the race, very nearly half a second faster than Gabrielli on that one lap there. So he's got his head into gear and just neatly, quietly pulling away.
Yes, and the more room he creates for himself, the less chances he has to take at chicanes and so on. So it's absolutely imperative for him to do that. The car in front of the leaders is Jaap van Lagen's Lada. This is the top Lada in the race, Kirill Ladigin. Now, given the dramas he's had this weekend, I wouldn't have expected that at any stage. Viktor Shapovalov, a couple of spots behind him. Ladigin is 18th. And Van Lagen's had his drive-through because he's come back out in front of the leaders. Jurgmuller now set the fastest second sector time of the entire race. He's right in the tow behind Larini and Menu. There he is behind the 2 blue and white cruisers, so maybe that's helped him. Second sector is most of the long front straight and the longest part of the back straight as well, so that is the quickest part of the track basically.
You see how hard the Seats hit the curbs here. It doesn't affect them at all. It seems as though they can clatter the curbs. We got Tom Coronel going for a move on the Farfus.
Well, he said he's tried the outside move at this hairpin before and it does work. There is room and there is grip.
No, it's not going to work.
But he is looking very aggressive and he's certainly got the pace on Farfus now.
Well, if he can stick alongside him there and get down into turn 1, but he's dropping away here now.
650 metres, he says that's not his real problem with his car is, he says, we haven't got any top end speed. So it's all about braking, chicanes. He said, I've got to do them at the chicanes, really make a mistake, force them to make a mistake in the chicanes. I've got no chance of outspeeding somebody, so I've got to outdrive
if he gets a really good tow, he's got no top end on that car for some reason, and it just isn't capable of pulling out the slipstream and passing someone. He's got to rely on good brakes, and he doesn't want to be abusing them too much.
Seems to me that the Seats aren't in any hurry whatsoever to make any moves, the turbo diesels. Second, third, fourth and fifth, that's a huge bumper full of points. Reverse the grid, they'll all start off third, fourth, fifth and sixth on the grid, so they'll still get loads of good solid points without showing any unnecessary speed and incurring any unnecessary penalties. That'll lighten them up then before they go to Po, which is another track where carrying weight uphill and down dale through all the tight corners is potentially going to hurt them. I think they're just going to sit there and, you know, watch the little points counter roll round and click up points. Okay, let Huff win, let the Chevys win race 2 as well, and then they'll be 60 kilos heavier, so they won't have to worry about them in Po. I think that Seat are playing a very political game probably here. All right, it's within the rules, but I'm not sure I like it much. Tom Coronel's overcooked it. A couple of other cars straight line the chicane there as well. That'll have been Portero and Hernandez.
He's obviously taking just too much of the curb, yeah. Oof. That was actually quite a big hit.
That was quite a big hit. Now he's going to have to really try hard to get the car back. And unfortunately his engineers seeing that, knowing there's a lot of damage to be done.
Yeah, it's a great shame for Tom, but he just borrowed too much curb, and that's the penalty you pay. Jordan Junet getting a little bit loose on the back there.
Well, Montero will certainly pick up the place if he can, because he really needs the points desperately, so he's not just hung out to dry by the rest of his teammates later on in the season.
Just the back tyres are now just getting a little bit too hot and they're losing a wee bit of grip, but oddly enough, considering the temperature, the track temperature here, the tyres are standing up really well to this sort of running in this temperature.
Yeah. Well, the Yokohama tyre engineers were pretty happy with that. They're not seeing excessively high temperatures. The track temperature doesn't seem to make quite as much of a difference to the cars as you might imagine it to the tyres at any rate. There you can see Felix Portero in front of Sergio Hernandez. Now, I think this is Portero's mission for the season. Apart from winning the Independence Trophy, which he'd love to do, Portero, who was flung out of the BMW Italia Spain seat at the end of last season, despite having done a pretty decent job alongside Alex Zanardi, now finds himself in the independent protein BMW that was driven by, that's Muller with a problem. That's that was over dust.
Yeah, yes. But no, did he just make a mistake coming out of the corner?
Yeah, no, he made a mistake, but does that mean he's starting to run out of brakes?
Well, we'd just like to have another look at that and see exactly what it was that caused the problem there, because he just seemed to lose tracks. Again, maybe he took a little bit too much curb and upset the car slightly. But it didn't take much for Junet to hop through.
Well, they're so close, aren't they? And Montero is now having a sniff as well, because another place here is another helpful place. And if Muller's got a problem, you know, teammate or not, I'm sorry, I'm coming by.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to have another look at that and just see exactly what did happen to Ivan, because Ivan doesn't often make mistakes.
Coming all the way down the straight, desperate to get some fresh air. Maybe he is in a little bit of brake trouble. It may just have been that he missed the apex by an inch or a couple and got the car in too fast.
I'm hugely impressed by Banani. For me, he's the star of this weekend, as far as I'm concerned. He's a guy that's come in here. Okay, he's a local lad. You know, maybe it's worth a second a lap to him being a local guy, and you can see the grandstand absolutely going mad for the local bloke here.
Well, they really will be, won't they?
Yeah.
He's ninth place as well. He only needs one little drama and he could start race 2 from pole. And do you know what? I think he could win it if he did. He's not close enough to Jörg Muller to make a difference, or is he? 3/4 of a second behind, going on to the last lap. Well, here we come down the back straight for the final time. Battle for third. I'm not sure it is. Oh dear, that's Victor Shapovalov.
Montero's looking quite strong in the back of Ivan. It strikes me Ivan does have a little bit more of a problem than just maybe missing out in that chicane there.
Victor backing it in a little too quickly there. So Rob Huff out of the final chicane. The hairpin remains for him, and Gabriele Tarquini is not going to be close enough. Once Rob clears this, basically anything other than a mechanical problem, nothing else is going to stop him. Third will be Jordi Junet. Ivan Muller off the podium in fourth. Montero not going to challenge him into the final. He's really not, is he? Of course.
Ivan's blocking though, so yes, there's absolutely No team orders in this Seat team. Look at that. One happy Chevrolet team.
Victory
Well
for
done,
Rob
Rob.
Huff on the streets of Marrakech. Well done indeed. He did what he needed to at the start and the restart. And Tarquini and Janae join him on the podium. Independent win. First time out for Mehdi Banani. He finishes in 9th place, not able to overhaul Jörg Muller. And for Jörg, that will have been such an important defensive race to keep the independent behind him, to stay in 8th place, to give himself a chance of a race win in race 2, especially as his BMW with its standing start potential is in front of 7 front-wheel drive cars. So he absolutely has to lead into the first corner
I don't think that's going to happen. If I was Alan Menu, I'd be extremely confident of winning this next race, because he's got the speed, the shit.